And there we are. Alrighty. Let's go over here and get all this set up. So that I can see your chats. At least I should be able to see your chats. Hey, there we are. We are live over on Facebook. Just going to open that up so that I can see your chat. Hey, there's William Donald. How are you, sir? I hope you are doing well. I'm just trying to find my YouTube or my Facebook, or my YouTube stream. There we go. Live streaming. I should be live streaming there. And I am so. I just want to get the pop-out chat so I can see. Hey, Cody Spring, how are you? There we go. Alrighty. I'm doing well, guys. I'm doing really well. We're doing something a little different today. We're going to do live stream. And what we are doing is, oh, hi, honey. My wife. She's great. What we're going to do today is we are going to upgrade, or not upgrade, but we're going to replace this bed with this bed today. We had a little issue. One of the wires broke, and when I resoldered it, we found out that there was only half the bed being done. So I can see everything here. So let's do my intro. Hey, welcome to the show. On today's show, we are doing an upgrade on the Wanhao Duplicator i3. We are changing the heat bed. So if you've never changed a heat bed before, we're going to show you how, so stick around. We are going to get into All right, welcome to the show. My name is, of course, if I can find it right here, my name is Richard Cleveland. You can find me on Twitter at Cleveland_IM. And today we, as I said, we are looking at the Wanhao Duplicator i3. I have chat up so that I can see everybody that might be watching today. What we're doing is changing out the heat bed, as I said in the intro, and there's no difference in changing out this heat bed to this machine as there would be to most other machines on the market. So we are going to do that today because yesterday I found I had a broken wire on my heat bed, and I've had this machine for, I guess, about a year now, and it's been put through its paces quite a bit. So it's no wonder. I mean, it's been moved from my place and moved around in my place, and it's been moved here to the studio, moved around in the studio. So it's no wonder, you know, things happen. So what we're going to do first and foremost is make sure that our machine is unplugged. We're going to jump right into it today. We're going to get rid of that SD card that's in there. We're going to flip this over. We're going to get into that right away. We're going to just put this bed aside for the moment. We're going to start first off by loosening up all of our nuts on the bottom that hold our bed on. And Wanhao is really good at this. They tend to, they've now upgraded this machine to a 2.1, version 2.1, which for me is actually a really good thing because it came with all the upgrades that everybody was complaining about in version 1, version 1.5, version 2. So this one came with a little bit beefier wheels on the bottom so that you can adjust your heat bed. And it's really tough doing this on camera because I'm stretching. Hello, Cheryl C. And we got Jerry Knapp, hey, and Phil Morris. So while I'm unscrewing this heat bed, and I don't want to lose any of my thumb screws here, I want to let you guys know that I'm going to be doing a meetup this Saturday. I haven't decided where I'm going to be doing it. If you're in the Calgary area and you want to come to the meetup, we're just going to go out, have some coffee, some laughs, talk a little bit about 3D printing, and find out what everybody's working on. And, you know, there I am live to answer any questions that you guys might have too. So you can see that we've got springs on the bottom. We're going to make sure that we've got all those springs. We're just going to make sure we set them aside so we don't lose them. Get those over here. I know the other one fell. There it is right there. Hey, Dawn. My wife says Denny's with a big asterisk. So you can see here, not very well. Let me see if I can get it on the top-down camera for you guys. Okay, so you can see here, yesterday I made the repair, and after I made the repair, we found out that only half the heating zone was heating. So there's a couple of things we're going to need to do to this. First and foremost, we're going to have to clip all of these zip ties that are on here because we're not going to need them. And then we are going to unravel this stuff right here. So while I'm doing that, you guys can ask your questions. My wife says, Denny's question mark. Honey, if you want to come, you can come too. Cody, hey Richard, I know this is totally off topic, but I want to know your honest opinion about the three-dimensional scanners. Are they real or are they soon to be saying everybody will have? Well, to be perfectly honest with you, Cody, I have one here in the shop, here at Spool 3D. It's not mine, of course, it belongs to Spool 3D. But the problem I'm finding with them is their resolution isn't very good. And we're still tinkering with the one that we have here. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, really, to get it configured. And when we have more time, we're definitely going to configure that. Now, I also have to take off this wire over here. As you can see, I'm unwrapping this one because this one goes to the control box. And we need to get our wires out from this control box. And we're going to get rid of all of this stuff in just a second. Get it off the table. This might be a fairly long one today. Hello, Alfredo. Hello, Jess. Hello, Jerry. Hello, Cody. I think I said hello to everybody so far. So yeah, talking about the meetup, if you guys want to meet up this weekend, I am down. We can go and have some coffee. We can go and enjoy each other's company. And we're getting to the point now where we're going to have to clip some more of the zip ties. When you're doing this, try to be very, very careful and not snip any of the other wires because that could be very disastrous for you. And it's really easy to do because I've done it a couple of times. I've snipped wires that I'm not supposed to snip, and then it's just caused me a whole headache. All right, so now we're getting that wire. Now we have to get into the box. So we're going to move these off the top of the box. I don't think desktop 3D scanning has really come to where it should be yet. Let's grab our toolkit. Now I'm using the iFixit kit. If you're interested in getting a kit like this, it pretty much has every tip you're going to need. If you're interested in getting a tip like this or a case like this, you can get them through Spool 3D. They do have them available. I'm just going to find the 2.5 bit that I need because now I have to get into the box. And because I'm lazy, that doesn't fit in there. Wouldn't you know it? So we make it fit. We take this We put that in there, and that's too big to go in there too. So then we're just going to do this. I know it's probably taking me. Hey, George Howell, how are you, sir? All right, so we're going to put this on reverse, our drill driver. I'm not going to recommend that everybody use a drill driver. I'm just lazy, and I've opened this thing up a couple dozen times. So I'm just going to take out all of these screws. I'm going to put them in the lid of my iFixit kit, just so that I know where they are. Now with the Wanhao, you also have to take out not only 7 screws on the bottom, but you also need to take out 4 screws on the back plane. Man, I got a lot of torque on that. I don't quite need that much torque. They're only little screws. When we go to put these back in, I'm going to tell you right now that don't use a torque screwdriver to do it, or a drill to do it, because you can strip them fairly easily. My wife and Cheryl are having their own little conversation. That frightens me. So now I'm taking out the back ones, which are the exact same size as the ones that are on the bottom of the case. We'll get all of these out of here. There we go. People are probably thinking, why in the heck is he using such a big drill driver? Because it's the only one I have here right now. Alfredo's asking me, is there anything I cannot do? There's a lot of things I can't do. Okay, so now we've got this taken apart. We've got to slide it out just because of the way that this power supply is in here. It's a pain in the butt to get out. But you got to slide it all the way. So now we can see where all of our cables are going after we undo the rest of this. Now you're going to see inside here, I'm going to switch to my overhead. I want to point a couple things out. You're going to see inside here that there's an additional piece of electronic hardware, and the reason for that is that this is a MOSFET. I bought this MOSFET. What this does is it helps to offset the power from it running through the board and then going out to the heated bed. What the MOSFET does is it just basically, I should check that and make sure that I've got no leaks or anything, or nothing's blowing on that board. Everything looks good. Just to make sure that everything is kosher and copacetic. So now I got to find my black, my 2 whites, my black, and my red wire, which look like those are the only 4 that come in this bundle. So now I'm going to just trace them back. And there's the black. You can see it's quite a mess in here. So there is my thermistor right there. So we are going to unplug that thermistor. And that says bed temp on it. I don't know how well you guys could see that. It says B temp on it. And these are all glued in. It's a real pain in the ass. They put glue on these things all the time. And I hate when they do that. I know why they do it, but I hate it when they do it. So you may have to peel the glue off. Get a pair of tweezers maybe. And I just happen to have some here. And here we go. We'll just use these ones because they got a nice sharp point on them. I can get in there. Now this is all unplugged, so I'm not worried about. There we go. Now we've loosened it up. Now we can get that out of there. Am I going to put in some more glue to hold that in? Probably not. I don't want to ruin the connector. I just want to get this out of there. And sometimes it just becomes a real pain in the backside to get it out. And I got giant meat hooks for fingers, so it doesn't help. I'm just going to wiggle that out there. There we go. Now it's come loose. I do have to snip this zip tie right here. And again, I want to make sure that I don't snip any wires, because that can be disastrous. So we've got that done. I think we might have to do that bundle as well, or maybe not. Nope, we can zip that right out of there. Okay, so that is out. Now we have to find which black and which red wire are going to our MOSFET and board. That is going to the MOSFET, and that's going to the MOSFET right here. So we're going to open that up by using just a plain old screwdriver. And I know that I've got one. There's one right there. So I'm looking at your questions. So if you guys have any questions, I can certainly still answer them for you. So I'm going to pull those off once I get them disconnected. Well, that one's on there good. So we're just going to take that all the way off. There we go. You can see what I've done here. I've just pulled the whole terminal right off, because these are pretty small. These crimp connectors here, you see how small that is? You just kind of have to unscrew them. We're going to change that because we're putting in a new heat bed. Now, we're going to have to look at our new heat bed to see if it does have what we need. All right. And now that thing is not loaded in there, so let's grab those two wires that we just took out. That one and that one. And we're going to trace them all the way back to here and take them out of that bundle. Go back here. If you guys have any questions about this, now's a good time to ask while I'm sorting out the bundle here. So I'm going to put that one aside because there's some things I still have to take off of it and put onto this one. Now, really quickly, if anybody's got one of these DI3s, Wanhao DI3s, you can see I've made a couple of modifications to mine. I've changed out the bed. I found that the bed that was on the original was starting to warp over time, so I was never getting a proper level bed. So now what I've done is I switched it out for this aluminum plate, and I also printed off some supports. The problem with the Wanhao Duplicator i3, although I love this machine because it prints beautifully, is that it tends to wobble when you get to the top or closer to the top of the build volume. So with these strut supports in, what it does, it strengthens that up so that you have a much cleaner print in the end. All right, so let's grab our new one. I don't see any questions. So we are going to get our wires all situated here. Get them untangled. I'm just going to put this down here so I don't scratch the aluminum bed. My wife would say, that's the smartest thing you ever thought of. That's using your noodle. She teases me a lot because I act first and then I think later sometimes. Don the German printing nerd is teasing me saying that his is better than mine. Well, very well could be. We're going to connect our thermistor first. We're going to make sure that these two little prongs, go back to my overhead, these two little prongs right here are put into the connector properly. And that is the right way around right there. Now I'll come back and zip tie all of this stuff later. But for now, I just want to get it in. Okay, so now that's done. So I probably should weave this back through this bundle, which would probably be a smart thing to do. So I'm going to unplug this one more time. And I'm going to weave this back through this bundle, just so that when I'm ready to add everything back in, everything is ready to go. Cody Spring, what is the build volume on that thing? The build volume on this is 8 inches by 8 inches by 8 inches. It's a pretty standard build volume on this guy. So let's put that back in. It's kind of warm in here. I try not to say bad things about you on here. And then Cheryl's saying, yes, but she can. She can say whatever she wants about me on there. Okay, so we are now going to connect this. Now, does anybody remember how we disconnected it? I do. But I want to make sure that you guys know. Okay. So we're going to bring those wires back up into here. And we are going to make sure that we've got enough pulled back through there that when we go to re-put everything back together, that it's ready to go. Now, these are already flattened. You could certainly use those the way they are, but I'm not a huge fan of that. I would rather put on some of these terminal ends. And those are what I'm going to use today. I just need to find my crimping tool. There it is. Okay, so all you really do with these is you take the end, you pop it through there. These are insulated terminals. Grab your crimpers, find the appropriate color. You'll notice on most crimpers there's yellow, blue, and red right along here, and that will indicate which one you should use for which type of terminal. So I'm just going to give that a crimp. There we go, that's in there. I'm going to do the same for the black. Give this one a crimp as well. Pretty easy doing this stuff. Hey, George. And there we go. Now that one is done. So let's put these back in. You can see these fit in much better now. We're going to go red to red, and that is the way that we took them out. Let's just turn that so that we can get that screw in there properly. Now, some people ask me why I put a MOSFET in this. And the reason, again, was so that it would, the heated bed, it heats up faster by doing this because it's drawing power directly from the power supply and not from the board first. All it's taking from the board is its signal to tell it how much it should be heating up to, like what temperature it should be heating up to. So there we are. That is now complete. Okay, so that's complete. Now we have to take all of this nonsense and wrap it all back up again. I know it seems kind of redundant to do, but it is the way that they want you to do it. So let's start here. We want to make sure that this will go all the way to the front. So we may need a little bit more slack to go all the way to the front. And now we're coming all the way to the back again, and that should give us enough slack right there. Now, I know I had them on my desk. Where did I put them? I had a whole bunch of them on my desk just today. You're probably wondering what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for the zip ties I had on my desk today, which now are missing. I put things away sometimes. I don't remember where I put them half the time, but I do put things away sometimes. My wife's probably laughing at me right now in hysterics because she knows that I don't know where I put stuff all the time. Because I don't pay attention, she'll say. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just going to go grab some zip ties. I will be still talking to you. Okay, here we go. Got some zip ties. I knew I had some, but they were out on the floor because I was fixing another printer yesterday. Okay, I admit it, I'm a man. So now I'm just going to zip tie this, get this all together. I'm looking at your comments. My wife's making fun of me again. That's okay. We can just leave her out of the meetup. She doesn't have to come to Denny's. Oh, now she's going to be mad at me. So all I'm doing now is I'm just adding some zip ties in just to bring everything together. And I'm not going crazy with the zip ties, because you certainly can go crazy with the zip ties. And I'm going to zip tie this like so. And that should be that. Phil Morris says, just don't cut the red wire and you'll be fine. See, I'm trying not to blow things up today. I really am. You know how I said yesterday when I posted that today would be a live stream? I was pretty sure I might blow something up. Because me and electricity, well, I shouldn't say me and electricity. Me and what's the word I'm looking for? It's not electricity. Me and electronics get along just fine. Me and electricity, however, don't get along. I know that sounds kind of redundantly stupid, but it really isn't. Okay, so we'll just tidy those up. Good, good, good. We're all set to go. All right. So now we're going to put back on that big wrap that we had because we're all done here in the box. See, it's not that tough to do. All you have to do is just have a little bit of patience, and anybody can do this. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to do this. I mean, you're only changing 2 wires. I'm just snipping off the ends of these wires right now, like the ends of the zip ties, so that you know, I can have a nice neat bundle in here. All of my steppers look good, so we're just going to continue to wrap this up. Move this out of the way, and we will continue to wrap this up, and this shouldn't take too much time at all. This is always the worst part when you're putting this stuff on. I hate this stuff, but it's a necessary thing to have on your printer. So, well, okay, it's not necessary to have, but it sure is nice to have it when you've got it. because it just keeps all those cables and cords all nice, neat, and tidy. And that's really what we want at the end of the day, is something that's nice, neat, and tidy. So do you guys have any questions about this? Like, I know that there's a few people that have Wanhaos in our audience, and you know, sometimes they're not the most complicated things, but you know, sometimes they are, because these are still somewhat of a kit, because you have to put the upper gantry and the lower gantry together, but at the end of the day, they're not that bad. And how did I end up with more than I started with? I know why, because I'm not as deep into the box as I used to be. Man, that's an adult joke just waiting to happen. All right, so there we go. We've got our wire wrap back on. We're good to go. So now we can take this and just start to stuff everything back in the box. And we're going to start with this, because this has to come way out and then just kind of slide in. I mean, I probably could have taken that off, but there we go. So we're going to slide that on. Tuck all these wires back in. Make sure that we put this piece on correctly. Because this is the important part right here. All right, let's grab our not our screw gun. We're going to do this the right way, so I can show you guys how to do this the right way. We're going to take our 4 screws that we took out of the back, and we're going to start by putting 2 of them in, just so it locks into the sides. Now, when you're stuffing all this stuff back into the printer, it can be a little bit challenging. I know, because I've opened this thing a few times. So all I'm doing now is I'm just putting that back on, just getting a couple of screws set in it. That'll help to square up the case itself. Try not to strip these, because that could be very disastrous to you. Get everything lined up. I'm going to start with putting in the one that is connected to the back plate first. And that's going to help me to get that square as well. Because lining this up can be a real pain in the butt. Okay, so we got that one in. We can probably put in that last one now, and then we can start working our way around the case. Where's Frank today? Frank doesn't come in on Wednesdays. I did ask him last night if he wanted to come in, because normally what I do for the Wednesday show, as most of you know, is I pre-record it. And I usually pre-record it on Tuesdays, because that's usually the day I have the most time to pre-record stuff. However, yesterday was a bit of a busy day around here, so yeah, I wasn't available all day yesterday, so I've got that one in. I'm going to just try and square up this box a little bit. Put the front one in. You can strip these screws really, really easily, and I've done it before. So Don says the only thing he hasn't done to his Wanhao is the MOSFET. You don't have to do the MOSFET. It helps. It certainly helps. I'm not tightening these screws all the way down yet as I'm putting them in. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, George. Getting 10 pounds of stuff into a 5-pound sack. is pretty difficult. And this is kind of that situation. Eventually I'm going to go back in and I will clean out all of those areas and just get them all tidied up. So now I've got all but one screw back in, and then I'll just go around and give them a once little tighten when I'm done. Hey, there's Quentin. How are you, sir? Quentin's joining us from South Africa. Wow. Must be daytime there. Or nighttime there. Is it nighttime in South? I guess it would be nighttime in South Africa right now. All right. So we have that put back together. We now have to get our print bed. I can move this over a little bit, I think. We now have to get our print bed put back onto the other surface. And before we do that, we have a little bit of work to do. We have to take these screws out of the old print bed and put them on the new print bed. So we need a little wrench for this as well. And I might just happen to have a little wrench that'll fit that. I usually do. There it is. It's 2200. So that's 10 o'clock right now in Germany. Now remember how I said earlier that don't do what I do? Because I'm lazy, I'm going to do what I tell you not to do. I'm going to use the drill one more time with a smaller bit. I believe these particular bolts are a little smaller thread than your standard 2.5, or a little smaller in terms of the type of hole that they have for your driver to go through, your hex driver. So I'm going to put that in there. Here we go. And we're going to do it the fast way. Now it's really easy, guys, to lose that nut. So when you get to the end, just take your time and just remove it so you don't lose it. I just lost my nut driver. I just lost my nut driver. There it is. Now, I will say that this printer has been really, really good to me. It hasn't been a bad. Oh, Ken Sturrock in Australia. It's 8 a.m. there. Well, that doesn't look like it's coming out of there, does it? Quentin says he's getting ready for bed, so it's bedtime there. Well, that would be why, because that one's stripped. Well, here's what we do in that instance. Again, we do what I tell you not to do. And we go to the parts room and we grab ourselves some parts really quickly. So I will be back in 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. I'm in the parts room. I just want to make sure I get the right length here. And of course, I have to get the right ones, because if I don't get the right ones, it'll look funny. I want these ones. Okay, so we got the right ones. Are you guys still with me? Every once in a while, you just have to go and get some stuff. And that's what we just did. But we do want to get these ones out of here, so how we're going to get this one out is a good question. Thursday morning. Now, I probably am going to need a pair of pliers, because this one is on there really, really tight. All I'm trying to do is hold the thread, because the head has slipped. You guys can't see that, but here's the nightmare shot. I'm holding the thread. I'm not going to use this bolt anyway, but I do want to get some of the parts off of it. So I'm just going to loosen it up a little bit. There we go. And that looks like it's on there pretty darn good. So I'm using my wire strippers. You guys can laugh at this. Using my wire strippers to get this nut off. Now the old me would just become frustrated and go ahead and my wife can tell you this, I would just bust the bolt out of there, but I mean, I could put in some of my own. So what are we going to do here? We're going to do this. Get that on there. And we're going to do this. All I'm doing is holding the bolt with what I've got handy, so, and I'm just going to take that nut off there. That is, remember what I said about stripping things? That's the problem that you have when you strip the bolts. And I didn't strip the threads. What I did was I stripped the head. And that's not very smart. The only reason I need these bolts out of here is because I want the insulators that they come with. Where are your pliers? That is a good question. I think they're out on the floor because I was repairing something out on the floor this morning. So I am, yeah. I'm doing what I tell you guys not to do. I'm going to put that one in there. We're going to grab that. We're going to go in reverse. We're just going to go slow. All right, so that one's coming out good. Oh, it's warm in here. Hey, there's Roger Gagnon. How are you, Roger? So we have 3 insulators, 3 bolts. Now for the last one. I'm impatient. Danielle Dawn, how are you? This looks like another one that is stripped. This one might be a little easier to get out. And then again, maybe not. Okay, so back to the problem that we had before. See if we can get a hold of this nut, or the head. Nope. So we're going to have to do what we did before and just loosen it up a little bit. Hey, there's Mark Baker. Hi, Mark Baker. How are you, buddy? Mark's probably looking at me now laughing because I'm not using the right tool for the right job. I'm using a tool to do the job. All I'm trying to do is get this off there. Because all I really want out of this, at the end of the day, is the insulator. And now I should have enough room to be able to grab that and get that off of there. All I need to do is just grab the head. There we go. And now we can just twist that off of there. And that's what we're going to do. And of course, I'm using my fingers to try and take off a lock washer, or lock nut, pardon me, a nylock. I probably, you know, by all rights, I should replace these. Mark's saying, I have tools if you need them. I have tools too, but they're scattered all over the place. Mark, you've been here. You've seen my office. My wife has not seen my office. And that's good. That's actually a good thing, because she would get mad at me and ground me. So how long have we been streaming now? Oh, just a little over half an hour. That's not bad. There we go. We're replacing these anyway. These are the Wanhao ones. They're not bad. They're actually pretty good, but I don't really care. I'm going to switch them out for some new ones. Now, this glass that's on here, I am going to take that off of there and I'm going to put it on the new bed. But now we have to prep the new bed. So we should have some material that we took off earlier, which we will come back to wrap these wires right here. But in the meantime, let's get this one put back together. So what we need, a bolt, and these are 25 millimeter threaded bolts, and we are going to need a nut. Thread that on by hand just to get it started. That way we don't have any, and I'm just using the nylocks from before. I'm not overly concerned about those, but the reason I want to use these washers is because what happens with the springs on this bed, and it's just the nature of the bed, I think, the way that it was designed, is that it will, what's the word I'm looking for? It will dig into the bottom, and then it can short out your bed, and we don't want that to happen. My wife says that's why I'm not allowed to use her tools, because I tend to scatter things all over creation. All right, so there's our other two lock nuts, and there's our other two insulators. We'll just get those on there and started. So there we go. We're almost done here, by the way. One thing that you want to do once you're finished doing this is, of course, heat it up, test it out, make sure everything's working to your satisfaction. Ken, don't laugh at me. And my wife's tools are pink, by the way. They are pink. All right, so I want to make sure that I got the right nut driver for that. I do. I'm going to swap it out. I know I said don't do this, but for the sake of time, I'm doing it the quick way. Take your time when you're doing this so you do it right. I've done this before a few times, so I'm pretty comfortable with doing it. I'm just going to slowly thread those on there. Not getting my finger pinched. I'm trying not to tighten them too much. Once I feel them tighten like that, I'm good to go. I'll just give them a little bit of a hand tighten, and that's it. All right, so we're on to the next one. We'll get all these done. The awkward part of this whole thing is trying to line everything up. You'll see I came to a very easy stop, and now I'm just giving it a little bit of a tighten, and that's it, that's all. So I'm trying not to over tighten these, because you can over tighten them fairly easily. All right, that one's in. And the last one. So nobody's got any questions about this? Okay. I got a couple of special things coming your way, you guys. We've got a couple of things coming in that we're going to be working on the CR10 for. Remember, I have begun working on the CR10 video series, and that's just, the first one is just on CR10. The rest of the videos are going to be on various different printers. Okay, so we've got our bed now is good to go. We can get rid of these tools. Just put them off to the side for now. We want to make sure that we've got all of our springs. And I'm going to go back to my top camera here for a second. You'll see I've got these little black sort of washers. I printed these out, and all they do is they help to keep the spring straight when it is on the bottom of the printer, or on the bottom of the heat bed, pardon me. So let's get the first one set up. This is awkward. We'll have to find that one that we just lost out of our hand afterwards. Oh, I see it there. Get that one done. Make sure. Drop it down through the hole, down through the hole. Now, why I was talking about making sure that your springs are straight up and down is because if your springs are not straight, if you can't keep them aligned perfectly, what can happen is that spring can go sideways. So spring you want as straight as possible, just like the spring on your car. You want it as straight as possible, because if there's any deviation in that spring, and sometimes it'll try and go to the side, it can cause your bed to go out of whack. So I printed these little cups that go around the spring, and these can be found on Thingiverse, I'm sure. Daniel writes, sorry, I just got here. Is this physically and electronically the same as the Prusa i3 printers? Very similar in a lot of ways. So we've got that. That's all down. We've got them all aligned in all the holes. I just watched Deadpool again the other night. And now we're putting nuts on holes. Instead of putting balls in holes, putting nuts on holes. And I'm trying to do this blind. I'm looking in the camera. Now what I'm doing too is I'm also compressing these springs down as I put them in, trying not to bend my bed because it's a brand new bed. Oh, I lost that one. This is tougher than it looks. This is definitely tougher than it looks. Okay, I'm going to come back to that one because it's driving me crazy. This is the problem with having giant hands. So Ken says, so this is only screw replacement on the heated bed, not replacing the bed. No, this is replacing the heated bed. We didn't replace the Y-axis bed in this episode, but I can certainly show you guys how to do that if that's something you're interested in. And again, try not to cross thread these, because if you do, you'll be sad. And there's the one I'm missing. Getting my arms in there. Again, this is the tough part. There we go, got it. Okay, so right now I have compressed the springs all the way down because the next phase is to get my glass put back on. But first, before I do that, I want to make sure that everything is heating up properly. So I'm going to just compress this one down a little bit more. That one down. We're good to go. Just going to see if I've got enough room to plug this in over here. I probably do. I do. Look at that. I think I do. I think I can. I think I can. I'm stretching it. So I'm just going to move this forward here just a little bit. All right. So we have ignition. Nothing has blown up on me yet. That's a good sign. In the meantime, I'm just going to take this and wire wrap this a little bit. And let's see if we can heat up the bed. What do you guys say? Wire wrap that. Let's just pull this forward so you see what I'm doing. Go to quick settings. Doing this upside down. PLA. Oh. I hit the wrong one. There we go. PLA. Go back. This is very disorientating. All right. So looks like our heated bed is now heating up. We're heating up both the head and the bed. It's going to take a couple minutes, so in the meantime, I'm going to see if there's any questions. No, this wasn't a screw replacement, Ken. This was actually replacing the entire heated bed. And I can already feel heat in the entire thing. Is my gantry square? It is now. Is the print bed calibrated to the bed? The print head, not yet. Because I had to change the actual heated bed today, I'm going to have to recalibrate it. Missed the start. Yeah, sorry. If you go back and watch it later, again, this is going to be up online for you guys to watch later if you missed it today, which is fine. We don't mind if you miss it. We like it when you're here because then you ask me questions and I can talk about all the things that you guys want to talk about. So we're coming up on an hour here and we're just about done. So it took us a good hour to change the heated bed on our 3D printer, which is About right. And doing it upside down probably was entertaining for you guys. I did most of it upside down. Okay, so I'll just wire wrap these little guys because we know that they're ready to go. Good to go, done. We got a wire wrap, this is done. Ooh, ooh. We have heat in all four corners. So with that being said, guys, that is pretty much it. We're going to go off screen. I'm going to calibrate this. I'm going to make sure that everything's square again and put my glass bed back on and make sure that I can do a print later today. With that said, guys, I want to first and foremost thank you all for showing up today. It was a hoot talking to you guys and having somebody to talk to while I was working. Secondly, I'm just going to bring this up. If you liked what you saw today, or if you liked the episode today, please consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thefirstlayer. Really, really like it. It seems more people are buying me a coffee than not, and every dollar that you guys put into to buy me a coffee or Patreon or buying one of the keychains or a coaster set, which are going to be on our website very soon, by the way, then you know, it all goes to helping the channel. It helps us pay for new gear that we need to bring you guys a much better show. So this is what I do for a living. I do some work on contract for Spool 3D, but this is what I do for a living. So yeah, if you guys are interested and you liked what you saw today, consider buying me a coffee. If you want to be more involved, jump on to our Patreon and become a member over on our Patreon. And that's patreon.com/thefirstlayer. And with that said, I want to thank Spool 3D for giving us the studio as they always do. Print it right, print it with spool3d.ca. Anything that you saw here on today's show is all available, and there are links down below on the YouTube channel. And till Friday, when we see you guys again, you guys have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you again live on Friday for Coffee with Rich. And then we'll talk more about Saturday's meetup as well for the local guys. All right, till then, you guys take care, and I will see you on the other side. Happy printing.